Oxalidaceae is the wood sorrel family. This has the species wood sorrel that you might be familiar with in it, or Oxalis oregana, probably our most common individual member. In weedlots, you'll find other members of this family that look similar to Oxalis oregana that can be kind of reddish and smaller. In the Oxalidaceae, we have regular flowers. They're generally perfect flowers that are hypogynous. They tend to be 5 mirrous, but with 10 stamens. But you'll really notice them with the 3-parted trifoliate leaves that look a lot like clover. This is not clover, it's not in the pea family. Is the Hypericaceae, the St. John's wort family. This is a interesting family. It has a lot of invasive species in our region. There are just 2 genera to worry about in our region, and Hypericum is the one that you're most likely to run into. As far as family traits that make this easy to recognize, this is a 5 mirous, another 5 mirous family, except the stamens can be numerous. And so although you might get 5 petals, 5 sepals, mostly distinct, and even a pistil that can be 5 carpellate, 3 to 5 carpellate really, often you'll get a number of stamens that is numerous. So when you look inside those flowers, you'll see numerous stamens like that there. These plants also tend to be opposite-leaved, and if you look closely on the leaves, you often find, especially in the herbaceous species, either black dots or translucent dots, so that when you hold one of these leaves up to the light, you will see perforations, hence the name of one of our more common invasive species, Hypericum perforatum. Another interesting thing about some members of the genus Hypericum is you can get a quadrangled or almost winged stem. That's Hypericaceae, shrubs and herbs, St. John's wort, many invasives in our region. But not always. Sometimes they don't have to be. Violaceae. Okay, what makes the Violaceae so special? Well, first off, the Violaceae, you will never miss recognizing the Violaceae with these 5 mirous petals. The basal petal tends to be wide. It has guidelines for bee pollinators, and then it tends to be spurred at the back, which is fascinating. The leaves, of course, can be divided, as you see here in the photo, but you're probably more used to seeing Violaceae with its heart-shaped leaves, which is more common, although other forms are clearly possible in our region. Many of our common woodland species will have the heart-shaped leaves. Zygomorphic flowers. That face-shaped bilateral symmetry is key, and you just get a sense for what a viola flower looks like with those 2 top petals, 2 side petals, and the wide basal petal with a spur, and you immediately start recognizing the family. In the last half a minute, I want to cover the Salicaceae. Just 2 genera to worry about in the Salicaceae, Populus and Salix. Populus, of course, are our cottonwoods, and our most common cottonwood is black cottonwood, which you can see over here on page 335 in Hitchcock and Cronquist. Here we go. We get those spade-shaped leaves. Very easy to recognize. Tall tree in our forest tends to be taller than alder and more brittle. Lots of interesting things to say about that. Could do a whole lecture on black cottonwood and on cottonwood ecology, of course. These tend to be dioecious in Salicaceae, and so alternatives are possible, but a lot of these plants have separate male and female individuals, which may have separate ecological tolerances. We also have a few invasives, so you can find a palmately veined and palmately lobed leaf like this in Populus alba. So Populus alba can have these kind of almost maple-looking leaves, but that's not one of our native cottonwoods. And then in the willows, of course, the salix. Salix is a large and diverse group. A lot of different species here. Keying out the willows can be a complex task, often requiring for you to look in detail at some very non-showy flower characteristics. I tend to find that willows, of course, they have the linear leaves, which you'll recognize, and most willows have that trait, although there are some willows with more rounded leaves and some with more serrate margins rather than entire looking margins. One thing that is common in many of our willows, and especially Salix schuleriana, is that these willows can have, at the very base, they can have stipules that are kind of that are these kind of leaf-like appendages at the very base of the leaf. It's not common in all willows, but it's common in many. Separate male and female inflorescences, so keep that in mind. That's a Salicaceae, large and diverse group, mostly shrubs, occasional trees, only a few trees to worry about. Schuleriana is one of those, but many of these are going to be herbs. Are going to be shrubs. And a large key to get through. And a lot of attention to detail looking at these pear-shaped, tiny ovaries here in the key. So you have to be able to pay attention to that.